how your brain was wired to betray you, and why this explains your procrastination. You know that moment when you sit down to tackle something important, and suddenly, your brain convinces you that checking your phone is absolutely critical, or when a deadline's approaching and mysteriously organizing your desk becomes top priority. It's not lack of willpower, it's pure neuroscience. Your brain wasn't built for high performance. It was built for survival, and that difference changes everything. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors faced real, immediate threats. A predator on the African savanna didn't give second chances. The human nervous system evolved to prioritize the present, the concrete, the immediate. Pleasure now, pain later. This configuration kept our species alive for millennia. But in the modern world, where threats aren't physical and results take weeks or months to materialize, the same programming became our greatest enemy. The prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for planning and strategic thinking, evolutionarily recent. It's like running modern software on ancient hardware. Meanwhile, the limbic system, governing emotions and impulses, has millions of years of advantage. When you try working on something difficult, you're literally fighting an internal war between two brain regions with opposing agendas, and the older one almost always wins. Studies in cognitive neuroscience reveal that our brain consumes about 20% of bodily energy, despite representing only 2% of total weight. It's an expensive machine to operate. That's why it developed mental shortcuts to conserve energy. These are called cognitive biases. The problem is, these shortcuts make us choose the easiest path, not the most effective one. Procrastinating requires less work than executing. Getting distracted demands less energy than concentrating. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and motivation, it's released when we anticipate rewards. Social media notifications, short videos, all were designed to hijack this system. Every time you check your phone and find something new, there's a small dopamine explosion. Your brain quickly learns that behavior generates pleasure and starts seeking it compulsively, even though you rationally know you should be doing something else. But here's the secret few people realize. History's great achievers didn't have different brains. They had different systems, strategies that bypass these biological limitations. And modern artificial intelligence can amplify these strategies in ways that were previously impossible. AI tools can take over repetitive cognitive tasks, freeing your mental energy for what truly matters. They can create external structures that compensate for internal weaknesses. The question isn't whether your brain will try to sabotage you. It will. The question is what you'll do when that happens. If you've ever felt your brain working against you, drop the word survival in the comments. And if this video is making sense so far, hit that like button so I know you want more content like this. What if discipline is an illusion? What great strategists did differently? Discipline. Everyone talks about it like it's some mystical quality that some people have and others don't. Like it's a matter of character, of moral strength. But what if I told you that discipline, the way most people understand it, is an illusion, and that history's greatest strategists knew exactly that? Think about military commanders who won impossible battles. They didn't depend on troop motivation to maintain order. They created rigid systems, daily rituals, structures that removed the need for constant decision-making. The lone wolf legend is beautiful, but it's a lie. High performance was never about isolated individuals overcoming limitations through pure willpower. It was always about behavioral architecture. Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, didn't trust his own motivation. At 20, he created a meticulous system of 13 virtues he tracked daily in a notebook: temperance, silence, or resolution, frugality. Each week, he focused intensely on a specific virtue, marking failures and progress. It wasn't inspiration. It was habit engineering. Franklin turned personal development into applied science decades before it had a name. Roman Stoics had a practice called premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. Instead of positive thinking, they meticulously visualized everything that could go wrong. Not out of pessimism, but preparation. When bad things happened, and they always did, they'd already mentally rehearsed the response. The brain doesn't distinguish well between real experience and vividly imagined ones. This mental rehearsal reduces the emotional impact of failure and accelerates recovery. In modern psychology, researchers like B.J. Fogg from Stanford University demonstrated that lasting behavior change never comes from intense motivation. It comes from tiny, consistent systems. Fogg developed the concept of tiny habits. The idea is ridiculously simple. Want to develop a habit? Start with a version so small it's impossible to fail. Want to meditate? Start with one conscious breath. Want to exercise? Do one push-up. The brain needs constant wins, not heroic challenges. And here's where artificial intelligence enters as a powerful ally. AI systems can monitor your behavioral patterns, identify procrastination triggers, and suggest precise interventions at the exact moment you're about to derail. Smart apps can create automatic accountability structures, contextual reminders, programmed rewards. They can handle trivial decisions that drain your mental energy. AI doesn't replace discipline. It creates the environment where discipline becomes unnecessary. The secret was never about having more willpower. It was about needing less. If you realize that discipline is about systems, not suffering, comment system down below. And let's get that like if you're enjoying this investigation. Why geniuses work less and produce more than everyone else. There's a dangerous myth circulating out there. The myth of relentless work. The idea that high performance means working more hours, sleeping less, always being busy. But when you investigate the routines of history's most productive minds, you discover something disturbing. They worked less than most people, much less, and produced infinitely more. Charles Darwin, whose theory of evolution changed our understanding of life, worked an average of 3 focused hours per day. 3 hours. The rest of the time he spent walking, reading for pleasure, playing billiards, spending time with family. It wasn't laziness. It was strategy. Darwin understood something fundamental about how the brain processes complex information. The big breakthroughs don't happen during intense work. They happen in the intervals. Modern neuroscience confirms this with surgical precision. When you work focused on a task, you activate the brain's executive attention network. But creativity, complex problem solving, and innovative connections happen in the default mode network, which only activates when you relax. It's literally impossible to force insights. They emerge when you stop trying. That's why so many brilliant ideas appear in the shower, while walking, or before sleep. Cal Newport, computer science professor and author of studies on productivity, popularized the concept of deep work. The ability to focus without distractions on cognitively demanding tasks is becoming increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. Newport demonstrates that most people can manage at most 4 hours daily of truly deep work. Trying to go beyond that doesn't increase results. It only increases the illusion of productivity. Great chess masters don't play more games than mediocre players during training. They play fewer, but each move is intensely analyzed. Each mistake is dissected. They practice what researchers call deliberate practice. It's not about volume. It's about focused intensity, immediate feedback, and constant correction. 10,000 hours of practice only works if it's 10,000 hours of the right kind of practice. Otherwise, you're just repeating mistakes for 10,000 hours. And artificial intelligence is revolutionizing this. AI tools can analyze your work in real time, identify patterns of wasted energy, suggest ideal moments for breaks based on your circadian rhythm, and even automate tasks that don't require your unique talent. AI can be your deliberate practice assistant, pointing precisely where you're going wrong and how to correct it. It can free up time so you concentrate only on the few hours that truly matter. The issue isn't working more, it's working smarter, with more intelligence, with more awareness, with less wasted effort. If you've ever worked too much and produced too little, leave deep work in the comments. And subscribe to the channel to continue this expedition with me. How artificial intelligence can become your unfair advantage, and why few are using it right. We're living through the biggest cognitive revolution since the invention of writing, and most people are watching from the sidelines, as if it's just another tech wave. But artificial intelligence isn't just technology. It's an extension of human cognition. It's the first tool in history that doesn't just amplify physical force, but amplifies thinking, creativity, decision-making. And whoever understands this now will have an advantage so big it'll seem unfair. Let's go back a bit in history. When Gutenberg's printing press was invented in the 15th century, knowledge stopped being the privilege of a few. Books multiplied, literacy exploded, religious reforms, scientific revolutions, political movements, everything accelerated exponentially. But in the early years, many saw the press as a threat. They said people would stop exercising memory, that the quality of thinking would decline. They were right about memory, and completely wrong about thinking. Humanity didn't get dumber. It became infinitely more capable. AI is doing the same now, but on an unprecedented scale. It can take over repetitive cognitive tasks, massive data analysis, preliminary research, first drafts of texts, information organization. This frees your brain for what humans do best: strategic thinking, genuine creativity, emotional connections, ethical judgment, refined intuition. Things machines still can't replicate. Think about history's great negotiators. They didn't win because they had more information. They won because they processed information better, connected dots others couldn't see, anticipated moves. Today, AI tools can process millions of data points in seconds, identify patterns invisible to the human eye, simulate hundreds of negotiation scenarios. This doesn't replace the negotiator. It makes the negotiator nearly omniscient. Entrepreneurs are using AI to validate business ideas before investing time and money. Writers are using it to overcome creative blocks and explore narrative angles. Athletes are using it to optimize training based on real-time biometrics. Doctors are diagnosing rare diseases with superhuman accuracy. AI isn't the future. It's the present for those paying attention. But there's a catch. Most people are using AI like an expensive calculator, asking trivial questions, requesting ready-made answers, outsourcing thinking instead of amplifying it. The real power lies in using AI as an intellectual sparring partner, as a cognitive co-pilot, asking better questions, exploring mental territories you wouldn't reach alone, iterating ideas at a previously impossible speed. The difference between who will dominate the next decade and who'll get left behind isn't talent. It's not luck. It's understanding that cognitive tools are competitive advantages. They always were. Writing was an advantage. Mathematics was an advantage. The internet was an advantage. AI is the next layer, and it's available now. For you, the question you need to answer is simple. Will you observe this revolution, or will you lead it? If you want to be part of this cognitive revolution, comment revolution. Share this video with someone who needs to wake up to this. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button now.